It is Wednesday, my dudes, and that brings us back once again to Velocity Lake, the theme park I am building in the game Planet Coaster, and recording the gameplay footage of, and then doing a mediocre commentary over, and then uploading it to YouTube for you guys' entertainment. Entertainment, that word is putting some serious legwork in that sentence. But yes, welcome back to this series, and pretty much jumping straight where we left off last episode. We've just finished constructing the monorail station, and now we're going to continue work on the park entrance itself. So we built the entrance in the very first episode of this series, but a bit boring. You know, we've got the nice building, which is all well and good, but the plaza around it, could do with some work. So that's what we're going to do. Most theme parks, I think, pretty much all of them actually, except the really tiny ones, I suppose. Actually, I don't know. The theme parks I've been to, though, the actual entrance building itself has always had some ticket booths and buildings for you to buy stuff before you actually get into the entrance of the park. So that's what we're going to be doing here. First thing, though, that little kind of wing of stuff there, so the toilet block and the first aid building, it was very narrow, so it could probably pass as a believable toilet block size, but for the infirmary as well, which is what my headcanon is, even though it's just one first aid stall in the game, which I don't really know what it's meant to represent in the game, but whatever. It's a bit small, you know. It'd be nice if it could be like some hypothetical doctor's offices or whatnot back there, so extending that building back out a little bit, and even if it is slightly bigger than it need be, it could, you know, potentially serve as a hypothetical park office, as, you know, like the rest of the entrance building does. And that's that. And, I didn't remember I was doing this in this episode. I guess I'm just adding a little bit more gantry work to the monorail station that will eventually be the station for the park hotel, but that hasn't been built yet, and it won't be built for quite a few episodes' time, because for me, it's September the 4th, and it's still not been built. I think, I'm trying to work out how many episodes behind I am right now. I think this will be uploaded 3 weeks from today, so it'll probably be the end of September for you guys. So early this month, there was still no hotel, and I have no plans to build one anytime soon, because I'm still in the thick of it when it comes to actually building other stuff in the park. So you guys, there's a lot more footage to come. There's three coasters actually that you've not seen built yet, and obviously each roller coaster has a huge area surrounding it, lots of scenery that entails with the build. So we're many episodes away from doing anything with the hotel, and like I say, I haven't even started building it yet, IRL. And I think the footage that you're watching here was recorded in like June or something, to give you a sense of how far in the past the footage is happening. Okay, I just paused the commentary because I got curious. I paused the commentary, right-clicked the footage, and had a look at the properties, and it was created in May of this year. So that really goes to show you how much I'm dragging this out. I mean, I guess I did talk about my actual process of making these videos in the last episode, and that I'll just play this game for an ungodly amount of time for like 1 or 2 weeks, and then just never play it again for another couple of months, and I'll play it loads. That tends to be how I play games like this, and Minecraft is another one where I'll just never play it and then just binge it for a bit, and then, you know, play it again. It tends to be when my girlfriend's around, because she likes to lie in. I don't. I just wake up naturally at like 7. So I'll just get up on the weekends. I'll just get up and just spend like the first few hours of the day just building stuff in Planet Coaster. And then when she's up, I'll just stop and we'll just do stuff together. So that's kind of my time to play Planet Coaster, just when she's still sort of in a slumber and I'm up and too kind of agitated to just lie still in bed. I'll just, you know, get up and just do some Planet Coaster work. So that's kind of my process. Now you guys know the process for my buildings in Planet Coaster. So here you can see we're constructing the thing. Moving swiftly on to talk about the actual footage for once. Here you can see we're constructing the thing I mentioned at the very beginning, well, towards the beginning of this video. We're going to be building some ticket booths. So people that didn't book their tickets online, they can queue for these booths here and buy a ticket there and there. So a lot of people in Planet Coaster just create information booths. Like the information booth is an actual physical shop in this game, and they just like serve as a, you know, pretend, you know, just imagine this is where you buy tickets and you use your imagination. But I thought, you know, let's just go one step further and just have it be a complete fabrication the guests won't even really interact with in terms of the actual game itself. So I just built this booth here, and then I sort of assembled this little booth setup inside. So I think that guy's from the studios pack. I think he's a camera operator, possibly, or an extra, I'm not quite sure. And then I built in this little desk with a computer, with a computer, and that's the booth. And then we'll just clone the whole structure around 3 times. This park comes up a lot in Planet Coaster, in my Planet Coaster series, and that is Alton Towers. I had a little look at the street view of Alton Towers' entrance, and it had 3 ticket booths, and it had a few more booths that I kind of emulate, or at least, take inspiration from for the surrounding area, because obviously park entrance areas aren't just formed of ticket purchasing booth areas. There's also a few other stalls, like, I don't know, information booths, and a place for pre-purchased ticket holders to go and pick up their printed copies of tickets. For some parks, I think, at least Alton Towers has that kind of area, so I put that in here as well. So once we've done the actual ticket booth itself, and when we've cloned it across 3 times, work twice, because obviously we've got the first one here. Once we clone it across twice, we have 3 of them. We'll end up doing the pre-booked ticket holders station, as well as a few other stalls and just a general kind of staff building area, I suppose, and then start the backstage work for the staff building, which will eventually also become the backstage work for the RMC, which we're building. Just to get you excited for future episodes. I think this is the last episode in which we just build structures without working on theme park rides. Next episode, I'm pretty sure we start work on what is probably... I think it could well be my favorite roller coaster of this park. It's close. It's hard to pick favorites. It's like choosing your favorite child, right? It's hard to pick favorites. I really like the red B&M sit down that we built earlier, but I also like the Zamperla Thunderbolt a lot. I really like the RMC hybrid that we built later on after that, and I really like the B&M Giga that I built after that again. Spoiler alert, by the way, for the whole park. But this one is going to be built the next episode, I'm pretty sure, like I say, and it is very, very good. It's built entirely using 4-meter smoothing technique, and it is completely devoid of any prefabricated pieces. So every single loop, every single inversion, everything is custom. So it was a real kind of arduous process. I haven't even begun to edit the footage, so I have no idea how the video will work, because most of the time when I show coaster building footage, I just play it, 4 times normal speed, because I'm building using the normal Planet Coaster building method, in that you just use the coaster building tool as intended. But this time I'm going to be using the 4-meter exploit, so it's going to be a very, very slow, very, very laborious process for constructing the track. I'm not quite sure how it will translate to video well. I might just do what I did for the Zamperla Thunderbolt and just cut out lots and lots of the smoothing and just show the general placement of the main layout of the track, and then I'll just do the smoothing off camera, off screen. I'm doing like the air quotes thing off screen, and then cut back to the smoothed version or something like that. I don't really know. I'll just edit the footage down and see how long it ends up being, and then I'll make a decision from there. Oh, by the way, there's the pre-booked ticket holders booth sections that I talked about. You may have seen me here, actually, earlier. I was placing some, those barrier pieces, the ones with the 2 black bollards with the red tape between them. I was placing them around all the structures, then sinking them into the ground. The reason for this, if I didn't place those, guests would just walk through the buildings that we're placing, because they are being placed in the middle of a path, and guests... like the AI only knows it as a path, and it won't take into account anything that might be obstructing that path. Buildings themselves, for the most part, aside from a few pieces like the barrier pieces, don't have any collision detection in the eyes of the AI. Like, they would just walk straight through it. I didn't want the guests to just walk straight through those ticket booths, so I placed the barriers around them and the fences that are also around them. Admittedly, I don't know if fences have the collision thing in them. It would make sense if they did, but to be safe, I just put them anyway. I put the barriers around them, and then I sunk them into the ground, because even though they're sunk into the ground, they have no vertical limit. They can be as high or low as you want. As long as they're there, guests will never cross the boundary that they form. So that's a good way of ensuring that guests never clip through the things you build. So you'll have seen me place them last episode as well for the entrance building. I can't remember if I actually mentioned that last episode. I've just literally just finished doing the commentary for last episode. Now I'm going straight into this episode because my steak is not quite at room temperature. If you remember that very weird tangent last episode, I said I was letting a steak season and reach room temperature before I could cook it. Still happening. Hopefully, we're halfway through this video, I think, at this point in terms of the commentary. So with another 10 minutes under my belt, And then, you know, the extra 5 minutes of, you know, air quotes again, admin time, setting up the render and all that, we should be good. So don't worry, guys, I will not be starving to death, hopefully today. I mean, if you never see this video, then you know, but that in and of itself is a bit of a paradoxical statement, isn't it? So we've kind of done all the work I think that we need to do for the Entrance Plaza. Now we're going to do some of the work on the monorail that we didn't do before. This is the monorail that serves no functional purpose. It's here just to kind of create the illusion that I've mentioned that the car park itself is not really big enough to realistically service a park of this scale, I think, in my mind. Maybe it is. I don't know. But to me, just looking at it from a bird's eye view, it doesn't seem big enough. But I came up with the canon of you can pay a premium to park near the park if you want, but if you'd rather just, you know, save a bit of money, you can park at some massive car park in the central hub of a few of the parks I've made, so Neptune Park and Crimson Tower, and then catch a monorail to the individual parks themselves. That's what I'll go with this. This would be the monorail that takes you from that car park to Velocity Lake, the park we're building here, as I've mentioned. I think I've probably mentioned it at this point. That will take you to the park here. So this is really just here to serve as a kind of illusionary route, like the monorail disappears into this hill, does this kind of twisty layout, and then comes back, and it just looks like it's been somewhere where really it hasn't, and it's collected guests from some intercity destination. And to help sell this illusion further, there is actually a spawn point inside the station building. Again, like I mentioned last episode, but maybe in case you guys missed that, I'm just sort of doing a quick recap here. But to kind of get to the point I was trying to make, this monorail, as it disappears into the hills, doesn't really have a very good entrance. Like, it's just a bare cave, which isn't very realistic. Most train tunnels, if not all of them, will have kind of an actual concrete lining around the tunnel. So that's all I did there. Added that, and now I finished that tangent. But same exact series of points applies here. We've got this road infrastructure that leads to the park itself, but again, it just sort of fades into nothing into the hills. We need to actually create some sort of realistic looking tunnel to show a place where cars would emerge from and get to the park itself. So that's all I'm doing here. I'm building it out of temple pieces. It doesn't look that detailed or intricate, but then again, most tunnels don't. They are just basically concrete slabs, like concrete cylinders into which a tunnel is built or a road is laid. And, you know, coupled with the fact is at the very edge of the park that people aren't probably going to pay that much attention to. I didn't really bother concerning myself with making this any more than it really needed to be. So that's the entrance there to the roadway, and we'll be doing some like work on the roads for a bit, but I think we're going to cut out most of it because this road system is kind of, again, just kind of there as a placeholder. I'm not going to have this forever. In fact, very soon we'll be gutting that entire roundabout and building a much more realistic and generally better one. But here you can see we're placing some lampposts to kind of get a feel for how the road might look once it's all illuminated. It looks pretty nice. I hope you agree. Speaking of the road layout, by the way, for me, today, actually, so I'm actually recording this video on a Wednesday, which makes this extra special, my dudes. I actually uploaded the video in which I built the entrance, like, toll booth for the car park, and someone mentioned that the actual, like, window that the man or the woman would stand at to take your money for the car park is on the left-hand side of the road, which is fine for Americans, but I've said before that this park is supposed to take place in Britain. It's supposed to be set in Britain, might be a better choice of wording there. And that means that it will be the passenger side that opens up to the toll booth. Big oof there. So I'm probably going to have to change that. I don't even know if I'm going to show the footage of that because it's such a mundane thing that you've already seen the construction of the toll booth for. I hope it's going to be a fairly easy It's probably going to take about half an hour, 45 minutes at most, to just change that around. Maybe I'll make a secret bonus episode of Planet Coaster where I just fix the toll booth. Who knows? Maybe I'll just record it without... maybe I'll just do it without recording it, I was going to say, and just move on with my life. But that's a big oof. Thank you for pointing it out to me and ruining my life for today. I'm sure I'll move on. I mean, I was inconsolable for a good 20 minutes. But just don't worry, guys. I have recovered emotionally. And I think, you know, with enough mental drive, I'll be able to work through this horrific event in my life. But thank you so much, guys, for supporting me and donating to my Patreon, which all of you have done, right? Yep. JK. I don't really like promoting my Patreon very much on this series, hence why I don't. Because a lot of people ask me, why don't you make like bonus episodes for the Patreon donators? This is more for Kerbal Space Program, by the way, but Planet Coaster, I guess, could fall into this umbrella as well. But the reason why I don't have many Patreon rewards... Oh, my goodness. Here are the screens I was talking about last episode when I said, I placed these screens to show the timetables for the station, for like the train times. I'm not sure when they were placed. Here they are. I don't know how I missed this because it's so soon after recording the construction of the station. I was skipping through the footage to try and find the construction of them. I guess I must have missed this. Here they are. The station is now complete, at least after this bit of footage is rolled. I don't think there's anything else in these placing. I think we do some lights. Oh, nope, never mind. Here is the placement of the lights. So we'll do that. Anyway, I was talking about Patreon. I don't really like doing serious Patreon rewards because I don't like dividing my fan base up based on disposable income, because I'm very appreciative that a lot of my fan base is very young, being a gaming YouTube channel. So, I appreciate that they probably don't have as much disposable income as a, channel that has mostly adult subscribers. So I don't want to force people to donate to Patreon, and so I don't lock away content behind Patreon. Even if it's timed exclusive content, I don't put on Patreon. I don't know how I got onto this topic or why I even started it, but there you go. That's just a little bit of trivia about my Patreon. But if you'd like to donate to it, of course, it's always very much appreciated, but I absolutely do not mind at all. I cannot stress that enough if you don't want to donate. I'm a really bad YouTuber, aren't I? I mention Patreon, then spend ages saying, but don't donate, and here's why. But, like I say, if you want to donate, much appreciated. So I think that's pretty much the station finished. I'll probably go back, to be honest, and change the actual UI on the train timetables themselves. Again, it's mainly there as a placeholder, but it looks all right. So maybe I won't, but I probably will, all things considered. I'm doing lots of zooming in and zooming out here of the station building. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Probably taking screenshots, desperately try and find a picture that might serve as a thumbnail if I were to hypothetically make a video episode based on the construction of that station, which I have. But it didn't take into account that I spent like a good hour working on an entrance building in between, working on the monorail station and finishing the monorail station. So hence why I've had to split this kind of, odyssey of constructing the station into 2.5 episodes, because most of this episode is focused on the Entrance Plaza ride, but now we know a little bit of it was focused on the station, and now we go back to the Entrance Plaza itself. I mentioned last episode that I have this bad habit of working on a thing and then suddenly remembering, what will really benefit this other thing I made ages ago? Yeah, this. So I'll go and just edit it, which, like I said last episode, in and of itself is not a bad habit to have as just a general normal Planet Coaster player, but when you're trying to make videos of the construction of specific areas. My goodness, I am getting tired. It's 8:30. It's way past my bedtime. Specific areas of the park, it's probably not the best habit to have. So that's consider that my apology for this channel, but to a smaller extension, this couple of episodes here. But I think that's we've done all the upgrades of the entrance building I think we need to do. We've done the tunnel construction. I don't think there's that much more we need to cover in this episode. Let me just zoom out on the Vegas timeline. No, I am correct. There's not much more to talk about. However, by zooming out on the Vegas timeline, I am suddenly reminding myself of something I added towards the end of this video. Because I know you guys maybe you guys are craving some roller coaster content, and so I'm going to give you some roller coaster content. The little peninsula between that monorail track and the river, I wasn't sure what to fill that space with, so I thought maybe we can fill it with a roller coaster. So I went through lots and lots and lots of roller coaster designs, one of which is here, a hypercoaster that was kind of inspired by the big one, which is an aerodynamics coaster at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So, whilst I kind of liked the layout, I didn't think it really fit with the style of Velocity Lake, so I ended up scrapping it. But this is the space where we're going to eventually build a roller coaster area, so look forward to that. But actually, I'm going to say, it's an RMC hybrid that I eventually went with. So look forward to that, guys. Sorry for the spoiler, in case that meant anything to you. But moving on screen, there are some links to things. On the left-hand side is a link to the full Velocity Lake playlist, and on the right-hand side is a link to a video tailored for you by YouTube's algorithms. There's also a link to subscribe and check out Patreon if you'd like to, and in the description you'll find links to Discord, Twitter, and Instagram, and merchandise. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, my dudes.